Hi everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. It's the 1st of January and I started by doing some baking. So this is me just showing you some of my baking skills. I'm gonna incorporate this into my dessert for New Year's, and we're gonna have some for breakfast. We also went to the beach on New Year's with the kids. It was fun. We didn't swim, we just had lunch at the ocean and then we came right back home. Look at my babies, they're so cute. At this point we're having supper, but I just wanted to show you what my New Year's plate looked like. We had mashed potato rice, some chakalaka, we had lamb, and we had pork. And then I made this beetroot. I made it myself. So it's nice and chilled. I'm just gonna add it, and that is what my New Year's plate looked like. The date is the 6th of January, and we felt hungry, didn't feel like cooking, so we came to Windmill, picked up breakfast. For some weird reason, I was craving a shamrock pie. Anyway, this is my kids, and Yala doesn't want Kuda to sit on her car seat anymore. And Kuda's outgrown the baby car seat, so we've already washed it and put it aside for the new baby. Now we have a situation where Yala doesn't want to sit in her own space and buckle up. She wants to sit next to Kuda and she's making Kuda so uncomfortable. Oh no, what are we gonna do? Daddy and I have been thinking we just get another car seat and we have 3 car seats in the back, because clearly we can't have them doing this. Oh no. Anyway, we also went to go pick up a few things from the stores. I just picked up a few maternity wear. I felt like I've outgrown all my clothes, so I picked up a few maternity outfits. And then we picked up a few things for the baby and some food. Pantry restock. Anyway, this is what I looked like in the stuff that I bought. Later on this day, my husband decided he was going to make dinner, and he made this yummy Alfredo. It's the 15th Jan and we're kicking off with a greasy breakfast. Hi everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Tanya, but I'm sure you guys already know that. For all my new subscribers, my new people, someone who is just passing by, welcome. And also I think it's my first video for this year, and I think I want to change my intro. So I want to stop saying this channel is about home decor and home furniture. I want to rebrand and mention that this channel is actually about motherhood, hauls. We're gonna have chats and just mum lifestyle, just in general. So I just do a whole lot of different things, different types of videos, whatever comes to mind that I find that would be useful to document, that other people would probably find somewhat entertaining. Now, we're currently on 120 subscribers, and if you're new here, if you were just passing by, kindly subscribe
kindly hit the notification bell so that you can get notified whenever I upload new content. Okay, so this video is going to be basically about me, like more about myself. I was going to do one of those Q&A, but like I didn't know where I was going to get questions from because I actually don't have that much of an Instagram following. My Instagram following is still quite small, and I really didn't want to go on Facebook because I just felt like it's too much admin. So what I am going to do is I'm just going to give you a background of my life, just in general, just general things people would like to know about someone. And so that's what this video is going to be about. Also, if there's any other things that you'd like to know about me that I'm probably not going to mention myself, you could always just ask me in the comment section. Okay, so first things first, where do I begin? Okay, I was born in East London, Free Hospital. It's an East London thing. I was born at Free Hospital on the 2nd of May in 1999. So yes, I'm 30 something. I can't do the math right. 32. So I'm 32 this year. Guys, yeah, I'm 32 this year. Saying it out loud sounds like I'm so much older now. But anyway, I was born in 1991 on the 2nd of May. So my star sign should be Taurus. I'm 1.7 in terms of height, 1.7 meters in terms of height. I currently weigh about, I haven't weighed in a long time, but I'm currently around about 65, 68. That's usually my pregnancy weight, but when I'm not pregnant, I could easily go down to 60, 63. For the longest of my life, I've always been petite. So yeah, I've always been a skinny girl. I've got light brown eyes, as you guys may have noticed, may have seen. My parents, my dad is colored because he's half white, half black. My mom is black. So my dad is colored, my mom is black, and that makes me colored. In terms of tribe, we identify as Xhosa people. My dad's dad was Xhosa. He adopted Xhosa culture. My dad was brought up in ngesintu. We were brought up in ngesintu. So in terms of what our tribe is, what our culture is, we are Xhosa. But in terms of race, I tell everyone, and my parents told me that you guys are colored. Like, we're not going to debate this. I'm not going to go back and forth. We colored. My kids are colored. So yeah. And what else? I grew up in a colored community, so it's like a location. Like, yeah, I would say location. We didn't grow up in the suburbs. I grew up in the location. I grew up in Parkridge, to be exact. Lived there the longest of my life. My dad's siblings are also in the same community, so we were growing up, we were very close, like close-knit family. My dad's sister kept us like together, so all our cousins, we grew up just hanging out with our cousins. And then I got to about grade 6, and then I started hanging out with other people's children, and so we started making more friends like in the community. But like we were never really like the other kids in the community because we were always just so guarded. And I went to a local primary school, but you know, I was one of those kids that would go to school, stay after school for drum moderates. That was the only sports I played in primary school. So I did drum moderates, and then after practice we'd come straight back home, or if it's not a practice day, I would go straight back home. So we grew up like very much guarded. We had to always let our parents know where we were going, or let our older siblings know where we were going and who we were going to be hanging out with, and so forth. So yeah, that's my upbringing. Primary school was good years. Like I said, I went to A.W. Barnes Primary School, and once again, that's a predominantly colored school. It's within a colored area, but I was in English class, so they had English classes, Afrikaans classes. So I was in the English classes and whatever. Started there in grade R. I did well. Was doing well academically. One of the smart kids. Got to like grade 4, started just being more involved in the school. Like they would randomly select me to do speeches for like guests that come to our school. So when we have big guests at our school, people like from overseas, or like specialists like doctors, some doctors would do pro bono projects, outreach projects, and they would come into like local communities just to let people know what type of skills they have to offer, what type of medical assistance they get to offer. So we had people like, Dr. Gino, who was a child psychologist in East London. He would go to our primary school and give parents talks and encourage people to take their children to therapy, because sometimes children have trauma, whatever traumas, and sometimes there's no trauma, but maybe kids are not doing well in school, so it turns out that they have ADHD or dyslexia, or whatever other type of learning disabilities kids can possibly have. So we would have specialists come to our school like that. We would also have like optometrists or dentists like giving us like random checkups. That's actually how I started wearing glasses in primary school when I was in grade 6. Yeah, grade 6 or grade 5. I think grade 6. Yeah, it was in grade 6. They had optometrists come to our school, and everyone had a chance to go and get their eye tested for free. And my results came back that like I have weak eyesight, and so you get a letter, and then your parents can do a follow-up checkup at their optometrist of choice. And guys, lo and behold, that's how I ended up wearing glasses. So this is my primary school life. Was doing well academically. I did drum marchers. I took part in school dramas, year-end sketches, all of those type of things. In grade 6, I was nominated as one of the people to be acting prefects. And then in grade 7, obviously, I was one of the people that were inducted as a prefect. So my primary school was actually very good. I did very well. I wasn't the most innocent of people, guys. Please don't get me wrong. People from my primary school who probably see this video would be like, ah! I want to make it very clear. I did well academically, and teachers liked me, but I wasn't the most innocent of people. So I got into trouble here and there, but Grace would always find me. So I've always just been lucky like that. I've just always been lucky like that. And so yeah, my primary principal actually is the one who enrolled me to my high school. So for grade 8, I got enrolled into a Model C private high school. It was obviously in a suburban area. This wasn't new to my family, because my older brother went to Grens Primary School, and then he went to Grens High, and then he was later transferred from Grens High to Baysville High School. So my parents were already acquainted with what do you call that? My parents were already acquainted with having their child in a Model C school, or having their child in one of those multiracial schools. So the transition wasn't bad. The transition was actually very good. My parents were so excited for me. One thing about me, I've always been a procrastinator. So even in primary school, I never pressurized my parents to apply for schools for me in time. I never cared about going to high school until like literally when they were like, you passed, now what? No, it wasn't that bad. It was like maybe in my around about November, October, that's when we only started applying. And at that point, a lot of the local schools were like already full, and a lot of them had already like was saying like, we're not taking any more people, we're already full. And my dad now had to try and pull strings, and I was on a waiting list for one local school. So there were quite a few schools that were going to be possible options, you know. So but these are options for everyone in my area. So John Bazika, that's where most of my family went to high school. But I was on the waiting list for Alphindale or Greenpoint. I can't remember. My dad knows one of the principals in one of the schools, or one of the principals, or someone who was the principal back then. It's quite a while back now, to 2003. That's when I was supposed to start grade 8. So yeah, guys, I didn't have a score, and my principal was like, yeah, you and another girl who later became one of my close friends right through high school, and like our varsity years, me and her were selected, and our principal applied for us to Sterling High School. So I went to Sterling High School from grade 8 to matric. It's so difficult going from like being the popular girl at your primary school to just being an average person in your high school, because there's obviously people that went to Sterling Primary School and they'd already established themselves and they already had friends. So like things like being class captain was different now. It wasn't just the teacher electing you. It wasn't just like, teachers don't just come up to you and be like, you are the class prefect. You had to campaign in a way to be class captain. And all the kids that we already know from the primary school were obviously the kids that were most likely to get voted for class captaincy, especially like in grade 8. Like everyone else doesn't really know everyone else. No one knows me. So obviously we're going to choose the person who was always class captain in primary school anyway, right? It would only make sense. So like getting leadership roles in high school was a bit more difficult for me, especially in the beginning. So grade 8 was average. I played a lot of sports. I did like wanted plays, but yeah, nothing out of the ordinary, nothing special. I wasn't very competitive. I was never really competitive. I think in my primary school there's so many people that didn't really care, so the few that did care would obviously get you'd be in these roles by default, because like it's only you. Now in an environment where more people want to be seen, more people want to get awards, more people want to be incentivized for their efforts at school, so more people want to get certificates and whatever, you get what I mean? So now the tug and pull for these type of achievements in high school for me was a bit more difficult, you know, to attain. But lo and behold, you know, I worked consistently, and academically I started improving like extremely well. Started coping, because obviously the transition from doing everything just manually and now having to use computers, and now having to like look up for like your research online in order to do like assignments, instead of just talking to your mother about a certain topic and then taking what she says and putting it in the essay. Now you actually had to get more facts and more substantial evidence on what you're talking about. So that transition was a bit difficult, but I eventually got a hang of things, settled in well, started making friends. So more roles started coming towards me as I was doing my senior years, you know. Nothing out of the ordinary. I became class captain, was part of like the modeling society, but I was already doing modeling with other girls in grade 8 and grade 9. So I guess, I don't know whether I was really pretty or whether I really walked nicely. No, I walked nicely. But there's also the fact that you'd already hanged out with the person who's part of the panel to select the group of girls who are going to be part of the fashion show. So this was like elite, the elite girls in the school, so it's a big thing. So yeah, and yeah, I took up more roles, started doing like library monitoring, computer monitoring. So I was one of those girls that had a few little badges under their name badges. I also did well academically in grade 10, grade 11, and in matric I was a B student, so I was clocking a 70% average, 75%, 70 to 75% average, I believe. And then after that, I think it's you get honors. So I was in the colors category, so I had wings on my blazer, I had a scroll. So yeah, the whole shebang. High school was okay. High school is good. I was never someone who got bullied. I was someone who always could get along with their peers, you know. Even if you look at my high school testimonial, like I have a 2-page testimonial, and there was only good things on my testimonials. My class teacher only had good things to say about me and my time over the years since I've been there. So I'm very proud of my high school and my primary school years. Actually, I was doing very well. And then on to varsity years. Okay, so my first choice of varsity was NMMU, but I applied to Rhodes University because all my friends that were going to varsity were going to go there. I applied and I got my response within 4 days. They were so excited to accept me. So like, yeah, I guess also I'm very good at essay writing. Like if you ask me to write something, I'm very good at that. So they accepted me within 4 days. They sent me a message telling me my admission letter is coming in the post, look out for it. So yeah guys, and then NMMU told me I'm accepted, but I have to do like the psychometric test, which is everyone does it. If you like, we actually did one for Rhodes too. I think it was held at Hudson Park High School at the time. So we all went on a weekend and did a psychometric test for Rhodes, and then I applied soon after that and I got accepted. And I never did one for NMMU, so it's obviously a criteria. So they accepted me on the basis that I have to make an arrangement to go and do the psychometric test, because obviously I never made the psychometric test for NMMU in East London that were already pre-planned. So now I had to find a way to the school and get the psychometric test done. And so I just felt like, oh, this is all so much admin. I would rather just go to the school all my friends are going to, that I'm already accepted at. And my mom was a bit upset about this. She was like, please, I'm begging you, go to NMU. I was like, no, I'm going to go to Rhodes. Guys, I went to Rhodes. Now, this is a totally different environment. If you're watching this and you may be in matric and you like wondering what it's going to be like being like a varsity student, one thing's for sure, it's not going to be like high school. It's not going to be like schooling in any type of way. Like, no one cares. Your lecturers don't even know you by name, don't even care to know you by name. There's just too many of you. So you have to reach out to them. I think that's the best advice I can give people. Like in varsity, you have to reach out to your lecturers if you really want to do well in school. And this is something I overlooked. And I spent a lot of my time in that year, 2009, partying. I'm not even gonna lie. I even told my parents, like, I don't even want to lie. I don't want to blame it on anyone. Like, no one did anything to me. I just made very bad choices. And they were like, well, it's easy to make bad choices when you're like hanging out with people who are not like beneficial to your growth. And I was like, well, you know what, I'm not going to go back and forth. I just really want a second chance at another varsity if we can figure it out. So I got expelled. I got excluded from Rhodes University based on academics. So I was doing so badly in school that they were just like, you have to go. So I even wrote an appeal. My mother begged me, like, please just go back to school. Obviously for them it was like, what are people gonna say type of situation. Like, they didn't want to be in a position whereby they told everyone I'm at Rhodes University and now I'm not. So they were like, please just appeal. I wrote an appeal, but one thing about me is that I really did not want to go back. I'd already decided during the year that this is just not the environment for me. Nothing bad happened, nothing weird happened. Life was good. I had friends. I had good friends. Like I'm saying, I just never focused that much on my academics as much as I was focusing on other things that were clearly just a distraction to my schoolwork. So I got a G7, and then 2010 my dad had to make a few phone calls, speak to people, and then I ended up at Forte University because we obviously didn't want to tell him that I failed. We thought we will figure out a way to get back into the school, back into the varsity, back into Rhodes. We even called NMMU and we're like, my mom was like, if someone went to another varsity but you guys had already accepted them, can they just come through for the psychometric test? And they were like, no, you have to do a whole application process all over again. And right now it's too late. There's no intake at this point, because by the time we were like trying to find schools, it was like already January. So we eventually told my dad, and my dad was like, what are you gonna do with your life now? So I was just like, I really want to go back to school, you know, like I made a mistake. I'm gonna focus on my schoolwork this year, so if you guys can give me another chance. So my dad was like, okay, we'll figure it out. So he made a few phone calls, and lo and behold, I got called and I got shouted at because the people that were speaking to me were mothers, you know. The person my dad knows is a woman, and she's a family member, and then she connected me to another woman who works there. And so they were like, why would you do this with your life? Stop playing with your future, the whole shebang. And you know what, I honestly appreciated that talk because it gave me a wake-up call. It made me realize that you're so lucky, because so many people don't even have parents who care. So many people can't even make it to this level that would have loved to have made it to varsity and they couldn't. So you should take this opportunity as a second chance and definitely make like a huge difference, a huge comeback from where you were last year. So okay guys, yeah, luckily for me, someone else who was at Rhodes the year before ended up going to Rhodes with me. We were in the same classes. So I actually had a friend, like we just gravitated towards each other. And yeah, one thing that was different though about Forte, going to varsity at Forte, was that I obviously stayed at home, and so now I had no choice when I was at home but to focus on my schoolwork. Unlike when you like stay at res where you can get distracted, I was staying at home. However, I still had a social life, so I was still going out, I was still partying. My parents made peace with my partying. My parents were like, you know what, fine, do whatever, but just know that if you mess up this year, you're on your own. You're gonna have to find a job, you're gonna have to start working, you know. We can't keep playing your games. So yeah, we were doing well, both me and my friend. We were doing well academically, and we were like having so much fun. My first year at Forte was so much. My first year at Rhodes was like fun, but like my first year at Rhodes was like fun but also responsible. So my varsity years were good. once again went through varsity. Really nothing major happened to me, nothing weird happened to me. I had friends, and I stopped being friends with people, and there was really no beef. We just drifted apart. I also dated someone during this time. I dated someone from my school, and then he left the school. I believe he dropped out. So he dropped out, and then I dated someone else from like later on that year. So I dated this guy. I don't want to mention people's names. And I dated someone at the beginning of the year, and then they had to leave, but we broke up way before we had to leave. And then by the end of the year, I dated someone else who wasn't from the school, wasn't from our varsity. So it was an external person, like a guy who was already like working. So I dated that person for the longest of time, up until like third year. And then in my third year, I knew that I was graduating, because obviously you obviously reflect, right? You're looking at your transcripts and you can see whatever you completed. So I knew in my third year that this is my final year, I'm done. Then I had a few things that I was dragging from first year. I had a few things that I was dragging from second year, and I put them all on my third year. And the people actually advised me, like, remove some of the third year things, you're not gonna cope. I said, don't worry, I'm getting the hell out of here this year. Trust me, comes hell or high water. Wait, yeah, I had accounting 1 in my third year, and then I had what else did I have in my third year? I had what, economical statistics. Yes. So it's like, it's not TFN. I passed TFN. There was another subject that was maths related, and I think it was economical statistics, if I remember properly. But I had to move it over to my third year, because in my second year, our lecturer for the course was pregnant, and she said that she unfortunately has to rush through the curriculum because she's fixing her dates for her maternity leave. So if anyone has a problem, they have to speak to her via email. And so I felt like this is not the type of class that I'm going to do well in, so I need to deregister. So I deregistered. Everyone was like, what are you doing? And sometimes it looks like I'm mad, but there's method to my madness. I know what is right for me, and you will do what is right for you. And I will let you make all kinds of comments. People are like, you're so crazy, you're gonna fail, you're not gonna graduate with us, do you understand you're gonna be dragging a subject? And I was like, I don't understand how you're gonna be there trying to measure my progress when I never came to the school with you. Like, just because we're in the same lectures doesn't mean you have to focus on me that much for you to be that concerned. So they were like, okay, but I knew by now I'm not going to do well if someone is going to rush, because I did maths literacy in high school. So I got 96%, for maths literacy on my matric certificate. But I still need someone who's going to go through maths with me slowly for me to get what you're talking about. So now you're dealing with someone who wants someone who already knew maths to go and do varsity maths, and you're going to do it even at a fast pace so that whoever is lagging behind must contact her. I went and deregistered immediately. I was like, no, no, sorry, ma'am. You have your baby and that's all good for you, but I'm going to do the subject next year, hopefully with you when you have more time, or with someone else who has more time. Lo and behold, she actually didn't come back after maternity leave. And some mothers do that. People just decide, you know what, I would rather just sit here with my child. But she was also white and married, so I don't think she even needed the money. I think she just applied for a job that she didn't really need, that she was just doing for the experience. So yeah, my third year I took up that as my second year subject, and then I had the rest of my third year subjects. So Now, instead of having just my third year subjects, I had a subject for first year and I had a subject for second year for both semesters. So my pile seemed more than other people's, but I knew that there was no way in hell I was going to spend another year in a school. I was ready now to wrap my varsity years up and start working, you know. So I knew by now I was going to finish that year. So when I was doing my third year in 2012, I already knew that I was gonna leave East London. I even told my friend December holidays, before we even got our reports, I told my friend, I know I passed everything. And 1, 2, I know that I can't be in East London next year. I want to go to Cape Town. My friend was like, what do you mean you're going to Cape Town? I was like, dude, I don't know how. I don't know why. But one thing's for sure, I'm going to Cape Town next year. Okay, so end of 2012, yeah. Then New Year's Eve on 2012, my then boyfriend had already gone home to like his rurals, so I hadn't seen him in a while. And then I met another guy, a guy more or less my age, but he was already like an intern at a bank. I nearly mentioned the bank's name. He was already an intern at a bank, and so he was already working, but he's only 2 years older than me. So we exchanged numbers on New Year's Eve, and then we started talking for like 2 weeks. And I think in the second week I went to go and visit him, and he stayed in PE. And during this time, my then boyfriend and we hadn't spoken into the new year yet. No, I think we did. I think I sent him like Happy New Year's and Happy Christmas messages. We sent those type of messages to each other, but we hadn't seen each other since like the beginning of December, before he went home. So now I met this guy, and now I felt like this is the type of guy I should be dating, you know, like this guy's more my age, and yeah, this is the guy I should be dating. And he's starting out in his career, and I'll be starting out in my career soon. So you know what, this is the relationship I'm going to be in. So when my my then previous guy, who was dating right through varsity, calls me, I tell him that I'm sorry, but I'm busy. He's like, what do you mean you're busy? I said, I'm sorry, I guess I'm busy. Guys, it was the first time I had to break up with someone. I never had a lot of experience with guys, so this was the first time I actually had to like break up with someone, and the right word I could use at the time was I'm busy. So I started dating that guy, the guy from PE, and then during this time I'm applying for places, right? I had applied to one private sector place, and then I applied to one government place. But at the government place, I submitted 16 different applications, because that was for an internship, and they were looking for interns in their different departments. So they had all their departments actually listed there. I don't even know how many departments it was, but all the departments at the DTI. Let me just mention it because it's on my Facebook, so it's not like a secret. I did my internship at the DTI. So I submitted 16 different applications, and I waited. So while I was waiting, I'm dating this guy. Keep going to PE during this time. During this time, I'm also kind of drifting away from my friends. My friends are also starting out in their careers. Some of them are still in school. Some of them have to move because of the institutions that they are working for. They had to move. Some of them went home. You know, some people aren't from East London, from Forte. Some people aren't from the Eastern Cape, because we still stayed in touch with other friends that were from like Grahamstown because of roads. Also had friends in Epai. Not because I went there, but because as friends in the traveling amongst these three towns, you'd end up having friends Nasepai, you know, even though I never went to NMMU, but I had friends from NMMU. So people drift apart, guys. It's just that unfortunate. And there's no beef really. Like, people grow up, people have to focus on their jobs, people move away, and that's totally fine. So ke nam ke guys bente ndoda yasebha. So yeah. In February, late February, I get a call and it's from Pretoria, and they're like, oh, you have an interview. So I'm just like, oh, okay, nice. And they're like, we're sending you your flight details. So that was the first time I was even on a plane. I was going to an interview, and the first interview was for the internship in Cape Town, for a Cape Town regional office of the DTI. And then I got called again in March for another interview, and that interview was going to be for an internship that will be based at the Pretoria head office, you know. So those are the two I was shortlisted for from that 16. And really, guys, I did really well on both, but I knew I wasn't going to get the second one because there was all the shortlisted people were all guys for that section. And I just knew, I was like, you know what, I'm not gonna get shortlisted for this. And the people in the panel were all ladies, so I knew that for me showed me that the department has got too many ladies, and they specifically said that there must be a guy for this internship. So I knew they chose me as someone that if they didn't have to choose a guy, they were gonna they were gonna choose me. So when I was in that line, I knew, but now it could never be me. This one is definitely not mine. And obviously the other one, I never saw the other people that I was supposed to be in the interview with. The Cape Town one, I never saw the other people that I was up against because I missed my flight. I missed my flight, and they had to book me for another flight, and I arrived at my interview late. So instead of being the first person or the second person, I was moved to being the last person. So they even had to rearrange the order in which people are going to go in because I missed my flight from East London. So okay, guys, guys, grace has just always been with me. God's love and mercy has always been with me. And when I tell people I'm God's favorite, people get upset, but honestly, there's nothing to be upset about. This is just my relationship with my God and how I felt that He's always carried me. Describe, because on you would be like, I know how you missed the flight for an interview that they flying you out for, and then you miss the flight because I'm a late person, guys, and C4, so I'm late. it's a disease. Honestly, if there was a way to get rid of it, I would, but I try, but honestly, the truth is I'm not a morning person, you know. So when late I woke up got 5, but still somehow I still managed to mess up and not calculate my time properly, and I missed my check-in, I missed my flight. So yeah, they had to fly me out on the next available flight. So I made it, I got to the interview. But you know what, even though I messed up, I got there with la attitude acting. Nothing has changed, I can still get this. So I got in there, but also this time, I don't know, with both interviews, I was so calm. I don't know whether when you are in a state of non-desperation, because remember, I had a boyfriend and things were going great, and I still had my parents, and life is good as a child. So I didn't have that energy of, I need this so badly. So I was in there and I was calm, and I'd read up about the DTI. So when they were asking me what I know about them, I could easily tell them. The conversation was flowing, there was some banter, we were laughing. Guys, in both interviews actually. So I knew by now in terms of social skills, because remember, when you go to an interview, people can't see your academics, you know. They can see, okay, they can see your academics like on paper. They can see you are smart. But people also want to know, are you going to get along with us? And that's actually what they look forward to the most in interviews. So, you know, we were talking casually. It felt like I'd known these people, like we were on our tea break, like we've been talking to each other for the longest of time. I was calm. Certain things that I didn't understand in the questions, I would ask them. Remember, I am raw. I'm fresh out of school. So certain terminology, certain jargon, I wouldn't know, especially if I'm not within that industry already. So I would ask them to break down their question. And then when they break down their question, I'll be like, oh, you mean like is in this? And then they're like, okay, go further. And then I'll elaborate my understanding about this and this. And then you'll find that what they're actually asking you is something you've already read in your studies. You already know this as a general answer in economics. But because they have office jargon for it, you might not know what exactly they mean by their question. So it's important, even when you're in the interview, that you ask questions and ask them if they can break down their question or even rephrase their question if it means that you will understand it better. So that's what I did. That's what we had. Beku comfortable, beku mindy. I was also very proud of my answers. That's another thing. Just the way I spoke eloquently and I knew what to say, and what I was saying was actually the right answers, and all I had to say about myself, it flowed and it was natural, and I knew that I did well in the interview. So I was like, I have to be up against extremely good people, you know, for them to outdo me in this, because I feel like I did so well. I get, guys, back to East London. Obviously I'm not going to sit there and think about the interview, because that's just going to drive me crazy, right? So we go into April, and this course was supposed to start in April, and they hadn't called me. So obviously now I knew that I clearly didn't make it, only to find out that, oh, there was a miscommunication. The regional office thought the head office was going to call me. The head office thought the regional office was going to call me. So when they had their first induction and I wasn't there, they were like confused, what's going on? And then they were like, oh, there was a miscommunication. No one called her to let her know that she got employed. So they sent me my employment and everything, all my details via email. And I remember on this particular Friday, when they sent this to me, it was towards the end of April, and it was gonna be, they wanted me to start at the 1st of May. So I'm once again in a taxi. I'm going to PE. Now, obviously, this is no longer an option in my head. I clearly didn't make it, right? And I get this call, and I'm like, hello, and they're like, hi, why didn't you come to work? I'm like, I never got called. They were like, yeah, we just figured that that's what happened. There was unfortunately miscommunication. The HR at Pretoria thought that they were going to leave it to the department to let you know about your instatement, and the department thought that I was already informed that they were just being given the documents. So Amy Londo, guys, once again, isn't that crazy? Like, there might be forces trying to hold you back from progressing, but some way, somehow, God is like, no, give her a chance. So, yeah, guys, unfortunately, it was sad because now I had to move away from the person that I was dating, because they're based in PE, and I had to now go to Cape Town. My parents were ecstatic, and my parents were happy that I got a job and I would be working for provincial government, and they had such high hopes, okay. But obviously this was just an internship. Anyway, I moved, guys. I moved to Cape Town, and this was 2013. Moved to Cape Town, arrived at my office, didn't really hit the road running. Nothing was set up for me yet, but as time went on, you know, things were starting being set up, my internet, my laptop, my table, even the people were generally nice people. Okay, nothing special. Everyone was just cordial. People were just professional. So okay, yeah. And as time went by, you know, I found my way also in the office, and I knew what I could offer in terms of my skills administratively. So I started working and gelling in nicely with everyone. But unfortunately, this was an internship program and it was only 1 year. And the money that we were getting was a stipend. Now, if you stayed in Cape Town, if you ever stayed in Cape Town before, you would know that in order to stay like in a suburban area, in a safer neighborhood, you're going to have to pay a bit more for rent, you know. So about half of what I was making was going towards my rent, and then I had to maneuver with the other half, and none of this money is enough, you know. But because I've got parents and I've got siblings and I've got friends, everything just seems like I'm coping well. Maybe to someone else watching or looking at me, they might not think I'm struggling. Just because I'm not asking, because I've got so much pride, you know, I would never ask my colleague for something. I would rather ask my friend who's not there, or my siblings, or my parents, or whatever I need. I would rather speak with people outside of my work environment, because I like to keep my work environment professional. So someone else is gonna think, oh, she's coping, you know, but in actual fact, I'm not. I'm not even coping, you know. I'm just trying, you know. So the offer came that they were gonna extend my internship. And so I said, what about the money? Can I get more money? They were like, well, we can't promise you about the money, but we can promise you about the extension of the internship. And for me, honestly, I felt like I deserved more. There was an opening, and that opening was given to someone who needed a transfer. So someone is out there, they could have stayed in their job where they were at, and then I get an opening, and then where I'm supposed to be, or where I saw myself going into, it's going to be handed over to someone else because they want to come and stay in Cape Town. And I felt that that was unfair, because I've been working so hard and I already know my way around, and that job was going to be a really good start job for me, you know, and it's administrative. So it only felt right that I apply for it and I get it, and they were just going to hand it over to someone else. And now my only option is an extension of my internship, and there's no money added. I felt, you know what, but I was also naive. I feel like if I had known then how difficult it is to get a job for other people, I would have probably stuck to that offer and hoped that they add more money, you know. But I didn't take that route. I decided to say thank you, that it's okay, I'll just exit when everyone exits, because I was hoping for a permanent job. So I mentioned to them that I was really hoping for a permanent job. I was actually looking at that job that had become vacant. I thought that I could apply for that one and get that one, not an extension of my internship. I'm already doing some of the work there, so why could I not just apply for that one and get that one? And instead, you're handing it over to someone else who already has a job, you know. But because they want to transfer from where they at, they're taking that one. So for me, it was just like, I need to love myself and see my worth. And obviously, I was very opportunistic, very optimistic. I thought, I got a job easily the first time around. I will clearly get another job easily. I was getting shortlisted for StaffGet, guys. That was the crazy part. I got shortlisted for Ellen Gray, and I got shortlisted for a social media manager job for a business in Sea Point. So I had interviews that I went to, but for some weird reason they were just epic fails. The social media manager / marketing manager job for the company in Sea Point, they straight up told me after the interview, they were like, there's already someone who already has more experience than you in this job, and they're much older than you, and we feel that she's a better fit than you, but we just wanted to see you because you were so good on paper. I was like, how can you play with my time like this? But you know what, it's fine, you know. I was like, that means my CV is getting spotted. That means that's a compliment. If someone says you sound so good on paper, we had to see you in person. And we also spoke very nicely. We did well in the conversation, very casual, very nice, but very professional. And they were like, you cool, but unfortunately we're not going to take any risks because we also don't want to train the person, whereas the other person is already well acquainted with what her role and her duties will be. Whereas with you, we feel that we're going to have to do some sort of training for you to be up to date with what has happened thus far and where you'll be taking off and so forth. So I was like, okay, but thanks. I left and I was so disappointed and like angry. I felt like you wasted my time. You just wanted to see me. That you knew when you were shortlisting me, you had no intentions of taking me because I didn't have the relevant experience. But after a while, you know, and especially after I spoke to some friends, everyone was like, this is actually a good thing. That means your CV is getting spotted, your CV is getting seen. And then the other one I went to was at Ellen Gray, and with that one, I feel like I was desperate. I feel like at that point of the year, I was so desperate, and I think the energy that I was giving off wasn't right. I know that I wasn't giving off the right energy. I was so desperate to stay in the city. I was so desperate to get a permanent job because I knew my internship program was coming towards an end. So I only had 3 months left of the internship program at that point of the year. And now I'm getting shortlisted for this big company. I mean, it's Ellen Gray, and I feel like my energy and who I'm usually like, or who I usually am, you know, in front of people, was not coming off the right way. I was agitated, I was fidgety. I just remember being so nervous, you know. I just remember being super nervous for that interview. And then they also had a psychometric test. So, they had different stages. I think the first stage is like, they just ask you general questions about yourself and whatever. And then if you get shortlisted again, you go to the next stage. So I was on the next stage. So I was happy. I was like, great, I made the first stage. Let's go to the second stage. Second stage, I did a psychometric test and a scenario. And I feel like I was so nervous that I messed up. And instead of acknowledging that I'm messing up in the moment, I just continued being stubborn about it when I could have easily just maybe stopped and started fresh because I didn't understand what was being asked. And yeah, but you know what? Maybe God was protecting me from something else. Maybe something else worse was going to happen to me if I had stayed there. I never felt like that in an interview. Everything was completely off. That was the first interview where I can tell you now that I looked nice, I smelled nice, I was prepared, but for some weird reason, my energy was off. My chain of thought was distracted. And honestly, nothing in my life was happening at the time except for the fact that I knew that I was running out of time to secure a permanent job. Except for that thought at the back of my mind, everything else in my personal life was going so well. Everything else, even at work, was going so well. But for some weird reason, when I was in this building, I felt so intimidated. It felt like intimidation to me. I was so intimidated, I was so nervous that I was messing up. And so, yeah, guys. And I feel, looking back at it now, I'm like, no, I think I wasn't supposed to be there. I think something terrible was going to happen if I actually got that job. And then they gave feedback as to why they didn't call me, you know. So they let me know as to why they didn't call me. And they said I came across as someone who was trying to use the company as a stepping stone into advancing my career. And that just left me even more confused, you know. That left me with even more questions. What do you mean? Who goes to a job and is not there to advance their own career? What am I supposed to advance? I mean, I didn't say this. You came up with this conclusion about me. But when anyone else wakes up in the morning and goes anywhere to make a living, it is to advance their career. Whatever role it was, because this was also an administrative role. Yeah, so it was an administrative role. And obviously, if you ask me where I see myself in the next 5 years, it will never be where I'm currently at. I would obviously want to talk about other positions within your company that I would see fit for myself in the next 5 years. So if you're upset because I want to advance my career, then surely I shouldn't even be working there, because you want to employ people and keep them where they're at. That wouldn't make sense. Like, that would never make sense. So that feedback was just so mind-blowing that I was just like, you know what? When I couldn't perform the way I usually perform in interviews when I was there, that anxiety that I felt, that feeling of intimidation, that nervousness, that was not me actually feeling those feelings. That was me and my instincts telling me that this is not where you want to be. So yeah, I don't know how people work there. I hope everyone is doing okay, and maybe whoever got the job in my place never experienced anything. But in my situation, that interview didn't go well, and the response I got didn't go well, and yeah, that company is clearly like a write-off for me. And the crazy thing is that I met someone else who I actually knew from high school on the bus on one day, soon after I had already, not soon, but a couple of weeks or maybe over a month after I already gone to that interview. And she actually works for the company. So we started talking. She told me, oh, I work for that company. I'm like, don't lie. I was like, I went to an interview there. She was like, don't lie. Why? What happened? I was like, they didn't take me. They're like, why? What did you do? I was like, I messed up in the second test with the psychometric evaluations and to the scenario. Most importantly, before even I did the psychometric test, there was a scenario that had to be done, involving like, what will you do in a case of a client, those type of scenarios and whatever. And the way it was described didn't make sense, and only towards the end of my time there I realized that there was more on the second page that I was supposed to look at, and I never flipped over. So there were so many blockages. so many blockages. The energy was just like, you are not going to get this role. You are not going to get this role. Not this company, not this role. Not today, probably not ever. So yeah, that's how the Ellen Gray one. I think I've never been more sad for an interview than I was for that one. Anyway, life goes on. The internship comes to an end. I have to move back to East London. I moved back to East London. So now the year is 2014. I moved back to East London. My mom is like, okay, well, now that you're back, I think you should start working on your driver's license. And I was like, Okay, cool. Let's do that. I applied for my learner's license. I passed that. I'd actually already passed it. I think we did it in my matric year or something. But it had obviously expired now, so I had to do another one. I did that, and then I got enrolled to a driving school. So I did, I think the package at the time was 2.5, where you go every day for, is it 2 months or 3 months? I think it's 3 months. And then they do an hour lesson. You know, every day you go there for an hour, every day you go there for an hour, every day you go there for an hour. So I think it's 60 days actually, to be exact. Every day you go there for an hour, every day you go there for an hour, and then you get to drive around. So they start you in the yard. Yala's woken up, so it's gonna be a bit noisy now. They start you out in the yard, and I also hope you guys haven't been hearing the fan the whole time. I hope that I've been clear, so you could have you have been hearing me properly. Anyway, they start you out in the yard, and once you do well in the yard, they move you out onto the road. And then once you do well on the road, they're gonna start booking you for your driver's tests, you know. And you can utilize or hire the driving school's cars and so forth. So I did that package for the 3 months, and
Lo and
lo and
behold,
behold,
by
by
the
the end
end
of
of
the 3
9
months,
months, I
I
received my
had
driver's
gotten
license.
my what do you call it, my driver's license. Okay, but prior to that, around about June of 2014, there's an advert in the paper, and it says that they're calling on all youth that are in leadership roles, that have been in leadership roles in school, in varsity, to come to the city hall. To come to the city hall to, no. The baby's woken up, so. Shh. Yala, stop, Annie. Good, you're sleeping. Okay. Stop. She's trying to wake Good because she's awake, so now she wants someone to play with. Anyway, they called for a youth that have been in leadership roles, whether in varsity or in high school, to come out to the city hall, because they are now launching a youth council. So this was going to be an initiative by the Mayor of East London to involve the youth, so that there's a new chain of thought in how the city is actually run, and new young ideas in leadership. So what happens then, my mom's like, hey, you have to check out this article and you have to go. And I was like, you think I can be a youth council? She's like, yes, why not? you deserve to be in politics. I'm like, I don't really like politics. She's like, you're gonna like it. Just go. Come back with the role. Come back as a youth council. Guys, I go to this event. It's packed like hell. It's packed like hell. People are there with their regalia, like their ANC Youth League regalia, EFF, SASCO. People are there, DASO. People are there. Okay, it's packed, guys. Guys, it's packed. Guys, it's packed like this. You swear it was gonna be Parliament, the real version. So, okay. So we go inside. We finally make it inside. So if you're nobody, you're obviously sitting at the back. And also, when I registered, they asked me which organization. I was like, I'm not under any organization. They're like, so you're here to observe? I say, no, I'm here to run up as one of the youth councillors. They were like, but then what do you have to offer? The one lady says she can be independent. I'm independent. I'm like, yeah, I'm independent. And then they're like, okay, so what speciality, what else are we going to write? Because apparently you actually have your name and your details, whatever. And then you have to say your organization. And then you have to say like position or section or you know, where you have to describe what you have to offer, you know what I mean? So I said independent in terms of organization, independent. And then under thingy, I said youth economic development. And then in brackets, I put the DTI. And I went on further and explained by now my expertise from what I've learned at the DTI. Boom, inside. So inside, obviously all the seats are taken up by all these people who are here under organizations, right? The whole floor is taken up. The only space left is like in the gallery. So we could go up there, like the people that are not part of. And the people that are not part of Yala, Sap, give mommy. The people that are obviously not part of any organization, they are now moving up into the gallery, and they are more like observers, because obviously in your mind you're thinking there's just no way. So we get up there and we sit down, and then I think the speaker makes a speech. And then I think there were 2 other speeches from people within leadership roles within the current council that are within the municipality at the time. And then they started the nomination process. So what happened is they needed 10 people that are going to be nominated. And then 5 people are going to fill in the gaps of people that aren't represented in part of the 10. So now I'm thinking, as they're talking, I'm like, I'm part of the 5. Anyway, they start nominating people that are ENC Youth League, people that are like EFF, people that are SASCO. People are nominating their people. And guys, honestly, if you're there as independent, you definitely did not stand a chance, because you need to get nominated, you need to get seconded, and then you can go up in the front. And then once they're all up there in the front, they had to, I think they had to give speeches or something. Or was it a speech, or did they say if someone is from the same organization, or some way, somehow they made a tie guy. I don't know how it was working, right? But people were then reduced again. So the numbers were lowered again. And then there was 10. After the 10, the speaker said, okay guys, so now we're going to add a 5, and from that 5 there has to be someone from other organizations that have not been represented here. So that 5 is going to be added. So okay guys, I got up from my seat, I went down there and I spoke to the speaker, and I was like, hi, the people that are going to be added on to the ones that have already been selected, how do they go and add on? So she's like, well, you were here, where are your people to nominate you? I said, no, I'm here as independent. And she was like, oh, okay. And what do you think you can contribute to the youth council? Why would they have to choose you? So I started telling her that no, I would like to contribute in the youth development, and I believe that my experience at the DTI, and having learned the different incentive schemes that DTI give young people, or people just in general who want to start up their businesses, I think I can utilize that information and those skills in my role in terms of business development within the city, especially amongst young people. So she's like, go and speak to, there was another guy who was the councillor at the time, who was part of the youth section for the overall council. So I tell him about what I said and the fact that the speaker referred me to him, and then he said, okay, well, you have to speak to this guy, and he's part of the special projects, who is the unit that is overseeing one of the custodians of this whole project. So I find out his details, and I call him, and he's like, oh, no problem, I already heard from the councillor. So you can come by when they have a meeting so that they can also, so the people that have been chosen can see you. So apparently the people that have been chosen were told that from the 5, they have to keep someone who's also someone who has a disability. And then what they did was, from this 4, I was supposed to be one of them, and then the 3 can be their friends, because now what they did is they tried to put 5 of their friends, and they were told, no, there's the girl that is coming, who's me, and then there has to be someone who's from like a disability organization, so someone who has a disability, so that they can show that, oh, this person is also representative of the youth, right? And my other argument was not just about my skills within economic development, but the fact that I'm colored and everyone there is black and everyone there is from Mtansane or Duncan Village. So I'm a colored person and I'm from a colored area. Yala, stop. Do you want to go to daddy? Stop. Ane? So I'm a colored person and I'm from a colored area, and I've got my skills in economic development. So that's what I had to offer. So I'm definitely like different, completely different. And I definitely represent a different demographic of youth. So they had to take me. No one else had come up with that argument. So they had to take me. And that's why the speaker referred me and the counselor referred me. So they had to choose me. Then they had to choose someone from disability, like any disability organization, to show that the youth council is inclusive, you know. And then they were supposed to take people from other organizations that are not part of them, that are from other organizations, but because they felt that they were going to promise their friends positions, they just decided to fill all 5 seats with their friends. Just hold for me. So they decided to fill all 5 seats with just their friends, and that's where the clash now happened. So some people were under the impression that I specifically was being favored and was being given a role uncredited. Good is also waking up. So I was now being given a role that I didn't deserve. People felt like a favor was being done here. So I got a lot of questions as to who do I know, where do I know them from. I was like, I don't know any of the people I spoke to. I don't know the speaker, I don't know the counselor, I don't know this person from the municipality who's overseeing this whole project. I don't know any of these people. So I don't understand what the issue is. I think they were very clear, even when they did the nominations, that 5 people had to be people that would be of other demographics from other organizations, just to show that the youth council is inclusive of all youth. So I don't understand why you guys are this upset about what's going on now. And they were like, no, we had put a place aside for the person with a disability, and we thought when they said some girl is coming here, we thought that that's the person for a disability. I was like, no, I'm not someone who's representing that section. From what I heard, someone from that section has to be nominated from the 5, and then I'm the second person, and then you have 3 spaces left. And it was supposed to be other people from other organizations, not your own organizations. And they were like, no, we already promised people these positions. Because obviously, guys, you have to understand that if someone is going to get nominated and then someone's going to get elected to be inside, and then people knew that there were 5 spaces, they knew that they were going to get in because there were 5 extra spaces for extra people. So they had already planned that who is going to be. From what I'm seeing, even the way things happen, the groups, the organizations were already informed of this process that's going to take place. And people had already pre-selected, obviously, who they were going to have there and who else was going to follow. So I was now taking up space. That was needed, and their own people had to be cut down to such an extent that the person who was supposed to represent the group of disability was never selected because they put in 4 of their own people, and then they had to tolerate me because in the city indo ayisachiki ndikhona. And then as we were there, my friend from high school, this other guy from my high school who works at, am I allowed to disclose? Yeah. Who works at HR at my workplace, and he was like, hey, what you up to? I've been seeing you around. Obviously we have mutual friends and whatever, we went to the same high school, and he's bumping into me at the passages at the municipality because of the youth council project that we were busy with. So he hits me up and he's like, hey, I've been seeing you around and I've been wondering, what are you up to? So I was like, hey, I'm part of the youth council now, so we going around doing these outreach programs, and we trying to collaborate with other government institutions, and we can help because we don't have a budget yet. We can piggyback on their initiatives, and we can volunteer to assist where applicable. So he was like, oh, that's nice. I wanted to mention though that there'll be internships coming out for the municipality soon, so I think you should try and apply for them. So I was like, oh, okay, cool, I'll have a look out for them. Time goes by, I forget about that. But lo and behold, as part of the youth council, obviously we are now somehow part of the municipality. We had a little budget, we had a little food allowance budget. We didn't get a stipend, but we had a food allowance budget, so we'd have meetings and they prepare little, meal packs for us for that day for our meetings, and we had so many plans and whatever. And they were like, well, if you guys do well this year, you guys can possibly get a budget for next year. Now I don't know where the youth council is nowadays and whether they finally do have a budget or not, but I obviously left because what happened was the unit that is the custodians of the youth council then told all of us that, hey, the internships have come out and we think that you guys should apply for them so that you guys can get absorbed into the municipality. And so they were now going to try and alleviate the issue of a stipend by saying that we have been placed within different departments, so we already have a stipend, right? But then it seemed like there was a back and forth because obviously now people were like, but we didn't want politicians, we want people who are actually working. Obviously I can only imagine that is the obvious argument of the departments. They're going to be like, no, we didn't want people that are politicians who are just going to pretend they are here when in actual fact they are going to be outside. We need people who are actually going to come and do the certain tasks that we have here that are miscellaneous, that are meant for interns. So I think that also died out somewhere somehow because they were encouraging us to apply. But now I was in a position whereby my mother once again and my mother's friend were like, oh, you have to apply for these positions, So once again, I put in quite a few. There was plenty in different departments. And I think I put in for various ones, just ones that were wanting matric plus 3-year qualification, ones that wanted economics. And so the one I actually had my eye on was LED, but unfortunately I never got it. I was placed within another department, and that's the department I'm still currently working in. Drop out of the youth council because apparently I couldn't now be available for the youth council activities and my job. Okay, my first year of my contract came to an end, and then we luckily got renewed. And when you renew, you get more money with the institution, or let me say with the municipality I'm with. When you get renewed for the next year, your stipend actually goes up, unlike what I mentioned in the other organization I was working for, whereby they offered to renew it but they weren't going to up the stipend. So with this one, the stipend went up. But obviously, this time around, I was on a lower stipend than what I was at that organization. And now I'm at a lower stipend, and when it gets renewed into the next year, it was at the same amount as what I had over there. So guys, my point is that sometimes, because you are still naive, you still wait behind the ears, you take for granted a certain opportunity. Because I feel like if I took that opportunity to extend my stipend, to extend my contract, I think if I'd expressed the fact that it was a financial difficulty for me not to stay in Cape Town, that they would have managed to sort out how to up my stipend eventually, or at least try and create a position within the organization that would eventually allow me to be permanent. So I feel like maybe how I expressed myself in that opportunity was a bit came from a place of not knowing that how scarce jobs are, you know. So if I'd known just how scarce jobs are, I would have possibly taken that opportunity and stayed in Cape Town. But I also believe everything happens for a reason. I had to go through all of this process to eventually get to this one. So okay, like I said, by the end of 2014, I was employed as an internship. I did my first year, November of 2015. Contract got renewed. So I was on my second year and I was getting a better stipend. And then in April of 2016, I got moved to another department, which is the department I wanted initially, which was LED. And then I stayed there up until 2017. And in 2017, in October, I got a permanent job in the department I was initially in as an intern. And that's where I've been. So since 2017, I've been at the municipality as a permanent worker, but I've been with the municipality since 2014. So I've actually been there for a while, you know, for a while now. But that's okay because, you know, over the time, I've managed to complete my postgraduate qualification. So I've got an honors degree now. Since I've been with the municipality, I no longer just have my undergraduate. I've got my postgraduate, which was sponsored by my workplace. So that's a win. And I'm also looking forward into doing my master's. But after I got my postgraduate degree, I ended up falling pregnant. I ended up getting engaged. I ended up getting married. I ended up falling pregnant again. And currently I'm pregnant again for the third time. So it seems that God is now saying that, no, you are now in your harvest season. You are harvesting now, you know. You have put down the seeds enough, you know. Right now, you are now going to reap. You are in your season of fruit bearing, you know. Seeds have been planted, fertilizers have been thrown. You have been watered enough. You have been watered enough. Now this is your season of bearing fruit. So I see my kids as my fruit bearing season. Time has come, and divutile. Ithi into divutile. I am fertile as fuck. So I've just been having babies. I've been popping out babies back to back to back. And so yeah, I'm gonna allow myself once again this process. One thing about me, everywhere God leads me and everything God allows me to go through, I allow him the opportunity, because I know some way, somehow, there is a reason for this. somewhere, somehow, there is a reason for this. Even when something seems crazy to you, even when something seems wild, you're looking at it and you're like, God, I don't understand what you call this part. And God will say, don't worry. It looks like you are getting tarnished, but I'm actually still lighting. And as something unfolds, you start realizing, it was not darkness that I was in. It seems like darkness. He's actually still showing the light. God is like, I will show you light right through the darkness. When darkness comes towards you and it thinks that it's going to overshadow you with darkness, I will allow it. Because I want to show you light. I want to make sure people see how your light shines right through the darkness. In conclusion, guys, my life has never been difficult. I grew up in a very loving home, a very supportive home. We grew up getting all the things my parents can afford to get us. So in terms of clothes, in terms of phones, in terms of shoes, in terms of school uniform, we were always up to date. Because no washing machine, but not washing powders, let's say soft, so we never struggled, you know. My parents ended up going through a divorce, you know. They had some issues in their relationship. But even when they got separated, my dad stayed in his house. My mom bought her own house. We still got to see both our parents every single day. My dad came to see my mom every single day. So at some point they got back together again. My dad rented out his house, so he was making his salary. I came, my mom was making his salary, and they had rental income. At some point he got retired. My dad is old. My dad is very old. He's currently in his 80s now, in his early 80s. So he got retired while I was still in high school. I had rental income, and then, but at that point, we had already gotten bursaries. My sister and I had already gotten bursaries, and then him and my mom had another altercation. We were still having issues, so they got divorced for good. And then he moved back to his house, and I went to varsity, and you know, the whole shebang. During all of this time, I've got the full support of both my parents, so I never needed anything from anyone. And because I was well taken care of at home, I've always been well taken care of at home. The people that I date, I've always dated people out of choice. I don't have anyone that I dated because I needed something from them. Everyone that I've dated was because I genuinely liked the person. Even the people that were older than me. Yes, you would get some money or whatever, but it was never about the money. It was just me genuinely liking this person. Come on. What else? So yeah, I just thought I'd come on this channel because so many times people, you have assumptions, you know. So you see someone from a distance, and then you have assumptions based on what you lack in your life, and then you get bits and information. You'll hear ukulele back rich, but you don't know ukulele back rich njani. Both my parents have their own property, big property. Both my parents are taking care of themselves. So sometimes just because you have that advantage, you know, over other people, just because I've got the advantage that my salary, I can spend all of it on myself. I don't have any younger siblings. My younger sibling also works. She's only 3 years younger than me. and she's self-employed. She runs her own business. So I've got no one who's asking me for money. I've got no one who needs me to buy anything for them. So for the longest of time, especially when I just started working, all the money that I was making was coming straight to me. And that's why it was easy for me to afford certain luxuries. Some people will call them luxuries. But for me, if you see when I bought my car, it wasn't because it was a luxury, but because you do not see it, or you don't have it, you consider it a luxury. But for me, it was a necessity because I was struggling with the transport. So that's why I bought the car. Not that I was struggling, I found it inconvenient. I found it inconvenient for me to keep catching a taxi. So I thought, when I get any extra money, I'm going to utilize it to buy a car. So someone else is thinking, how is she buying a car when she's an intern? We know they're making this much, you know? So now you're counting my peanuts and you're like, there's no way. But you don't understand that even with my peanuts, I can afford this thing, né? And then I depend on my home, because in my home, no one depends on my peanuts. Whereas maybe for someone else, they only have the peanuts and everyone else depends on those peanuts. Do you get what I mean? So now you are calculating, you're looking, and you're thinking, pack rich, and you're thinking, her mother this, her mother that. You're calculating, you're pocket watching us, and you're estimating where we should be in life. So now it's not adding up. When you're seeing the outcomes, you're not used, but you will realize that even my mother, she didn't have much, but you see all the kids, they are doing well. All the kids were dressed well. All the kids were always neat and clean, hygienic, beautiful. All the kids always getting complimented. So she and my dad were very good parents. They made a lot of sacrifices to get us to where we are here today. So that's the advantage I have maybe over someone else. But because that person cannot accept that it's just that pure, they're gonna try and add all types of bad connotations to the things that I've achieved for myself, all types of negative stigmas to what I've worked and what I've worked towards. Never been given anything for free. I don't have anything that's a handout. I've worked and I've earned everything I've got here today. I don't have people's names on my things. I've got my own name on my things. So even when I was driving that Polo, my brother was the surety. So the car was obviously taken out in his name, but I was paying for it. So a lot of the documentation was being handled by me. He knows that. I was going there with affidavit, with his signature on it and his ID, so that I can complete certain things, because he didn't want to be called all the time whenever something needs to be done for the car. So when I was changing insurances, they were calling me. When they wanted their money, they were calling me. You know, if they ever called him, he was referring them to me. So I take care of my business. I take care of myself. I take care of my business. And just because you lack, it doesn't mean everyone else lacks. And it doesn't mean that there's any sugar daddies or weird things like that. There's no sugar daddies. There's none of that. In fact, if you look at my lifestyle on Instagram, it's very normal. It's very basic. It's normal things. But of course, sometimes just because there are people who are around you, who are below average, bad things seem to be happening to you because you are surrounded by people who are at the bottom or below you, who now wants to make it seem like where you're at in life is not normal. Whereas in actual fact, compared to other people I went to school with, I'm actually below average to a lot of people I went to school with. A lot of people that are making money out there that are doing way better than me. But because I'm surrounded by people that did not even get the education I got, they therefore think that because they can't achieve my heights, they think that there's additional help that is like weird help that I don't even want to delve into that, guys. I don't want to delve into that. Whenever people see someone like me who's progressing, they always say it's something sexual or it's witchcraft. So for me, I've been accused of both. For me, I've been accused of both. I am the witch. I am the man eater. I'm the witch man eater. I am out. I'm being helped by men. Men, I don't even know. You will never see these men that they are talking about around me, except for my husband. But my husband is my age, and my husband found me with my things, and my husband knows my family, and there's nothing I need from my husband. He makes his own money. I make my own money. I just need him. When it comes to relationships, I've always just needed the person, not what he had to offer me, because I don't need anything. If someone does do something for me, it's because it's out of the goodness of their heart, because they would do this because they are a romantic person and they would do it for anyone else, not because I asked them to. Do you get what I mean? But because for some people, it's so difficult. It's something that they've never attracted in their own lives. So they assume, just because you have this small thing, they think that you must be doing something out of the ordinary for you to have it. So, guys, it's also very important to energy and people's aura. I say this all the time. Your energy and your aura, you must always guard it, because that is what people see first. And that's why I was making a reference to that interview I had with that company I wanted to work for. I wanted to be with that company so badly, but something was blocking my energy, and I will never know what it was. Was it a me thing? Was it a them thing? But it was very evident that I shouldn't be there. So that's why I'm saying that my energy during that interview was clearly very off. And so you have to make sure that whenever you experience that type of thing, you take some time off and go cleanse. You go cleanse it however you want to. Whether you take some time off for yourself just to take a breather, whether you consult with family members so that you can regroup and find your strength again, so that you can brighten up and light up the way you are supposed to light up again. But take that time out and find your aura and protect it, guard it, because so many people have very dark auras. So many people around you are dark. So it's very, very important to make sure that you protect yourself from those people, because they're trying to take away your light. They're trying to take your color. So yeah, guys, I don't know what else to say. Hey, really, it's been really nice sharing. I don't know, I didn't delve that much into my family right now. If there's any questions you need about my husband, anything you want to ask about my upbringing, if you know me personally, if there's anything you felt like I skipped that I should have spoken about, we'll talk about that in the comment section. Do engage with me in the comment section. So yeah, guys, I honestly don't know what else to say. This has been a really nice chat, because I really I've always grown up with all kinds of assumptions around me, and when you're that type of person, you kind of get used to it. You kind of get to a point whereby you're like, oh, I'm not going to explain myself to anyone. So when people talk, you allow them to talk. But this feels so nice, because now I can just give it to people as it is. speak my mind, let people know all the intricate details about my life. A bit weird because I'm obviously a private person. For a very long time after varsity, I wasn't even on social media because I was literally just living in the moment. Everything, not because anything was going bad, everything was actually going well. And luckily I had some footage from some of the times when I was offline. So if you go to my Facebook, I did try when I came back on social media to go back and just take out some pictures from the archive so people can see where I've been, what I've been up to. Because, you know, people create narratives. When people don't know what's happening, they create narratives. And I will tell you now, the assumptions are wild. The assumptions are wild. And the reason why people make up these wild assumptions is because they want to justify your progress. So if people feel like she doesn't deserve to be where she is at, they are going to try and justify your progress with negativity. So, oh, she's only there because she did A, B, C, D. But where, who, when? You don't have any proof for what you're saying. You're just saying it. You're just running your mouth. And yet the evidence for her work is right in front of your eyes. I've got pictures of myself graduating. I've got pictures of myself in my internship years. I've got portfolio of evidences of showing my actual work. You know, I keep record of the things that I do and things that I've done. So you see, this is how she's progressing and that's how she's moving forward in life. But because for you, you don't feel that she's someone who's deserving of her progress. You've always felt that at some point she was going to fail. You've been preying on her you've been preying on her downfall. So when it's not happening, maybe you're part of the people that start creating it, you know. So you start creating it so that other people don't aspire to be her, so that other people are not inspired by her, so that you take away all the credit for her hard work. So you try and diminish what she's done for herself. You want to give credit to other people who don't even know her. So yeah, guys, it's crazy, guys. It's life, né? And quite frankly, some people will just have to go through it, and God will always give you the strength to carry. You know, if He's carried you with grace all these years, trust me, He's still going to carry you with grace in the years to come. He's still going to carry you with grace in the years to come. Guys, I honestly don't know what else I could say. I think I want to close this conversation here. Please don't mind my posture. I'm obviously pregnant, so it's difficult to sit up the whole time. I sometimes slouch because I feel uncomfortable. The kids are also awake and they're starting to go crazy in the lounge. I'm sure you can hear them in the background. So I'll probably be tending to them now. I love you guys so much. Until next time.
Guys, after that lengthy chat, I had worked myself up an appetite. So after feeding the kids, we quickly rushed to the stores and did another pantry restock. Guys, it's January. This month is damn long. When does it end? So we went to go pick up a few things, and this is all the stuff we got, and some fruit. And so, yeah. I've also decided to close this video here. I hope you guys enjoyed getting to know me a bit better this year. And I see you guys in my next one. Don't forget to like and subscribe and to share this video. Bye.